গোরা পহু না ভজে আময়নো প্রেমর তন ধন প্রেমর তন ধন হরে হেলায় হারাইনু না ভজে আময়নো গোরা পহু প্রেমর তন ধন রতন ধন প্রেমর তন ধন হেলায় হারাইনু না ভজে আময়নো গোরা পহু না ভজে আময়নো গোরা পহু না ভজে আময়নো ধনে যতন করি ধনতে গেন অদনে যতন করি ধনতে গেন আপন করম দোষে আপন করম দোষে গোরে গোরে আপন করম দোষে আপন করম দোষে আপনি ডুবিনু না ভজে আময়নো গোরা পহু শত সঙ্গ ছাড়ি কইনু অসতে বেলা শত সঙ্গ ছাড়ে কইনো অসতে বিলা শত সঙ্গ ছাড়ি কইনো অসতে বেলা শত সঙ্গ ছাড়ে কইনো অসতে বিলা তে কারণে লাগিল যে তে কারণে লাগিল যে তে কারণে লাগিল যে কর্ম বন্ধ না ভজে আমইন গোরা বহু না ভজে আমইন গোরা বহু না ভজি আমইন বিষয় বিষম বিষ সতত খাএনু বিষয় বিষম বিষ সতত খাইনো গৌর কীর্তনার রসে মগন না হইল না ভজে আমইন গোরা বহু না ভজে আমইন গোরা বহু না ভজি আমইন কেন মায়া চোহে প্রাণ কি সুখ পায়া কেন মায়া চোহে প্রাণ কি সুখ পাইয়া নরোত্তম দাস কেন নরোত্তম দাস কেন গোরে অধম দাস কেন অধম দাস কেন নরোত্তম দাস কেন ওরে না গেল মরিয়া না ভজে আমইন গোরা বহু না ভজে हरि बोल।
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much, Maha Sankirtan Prabhu and the group. धन्यवाद. भालो कीर्तन भजन सुना होलो. So now we will start our Sravan Utsav second day, second half program. Still we are waiting for the devotees. যারা শ্রাবণ উৎসবে অংশগ্রহণ করবেন তাড়াতাড়ি চলে আসবেন, এখনই শুরু হতে চলেছে। Okay. So we have now with us His Grace Sarvadrik Prabhu, who is disciple of Srila Prabhupada. I request Prabhu to come on the stage. You would like to do some kirtan for some time? No? Okay. So, we welcome Prabhu by chanting Hari and Haridwani and Huludwani. Hari Bol! So I give one brief introduction about the Prabhu. Sarvadik Prabhu was वो इंट्रोडक्शन जो है ना अच्छा नहीं है, मैं उसको थोड़ा एडिट किया था. Okay. Sarvadik Prabhu joined Srila Prabhupada's movement ISKCON in July 1973 in Portland, Oregon. His Grace Dinabandhu Prabhu introduced in the years since he has served in many capacities in different places, mostly in Denver, ISKCON, as Vice President, Head Pujari, Head Cook, New Bhakta Leader, and Congregational Preacher. He and his wife, Sudevi Devidasi Mataji, moved to Prabhupada's village in North Carolina in 2009. While there, they traveled throughout North Carolina and Virginia for Bhakti Vriksha and prison preaching. In November 2018, they sold their North Carolina farm property and moved permanently to Sridham, Mayapur. So Prabhu is staying in Sridham, Mayapur. Still he travels from here to different places, mostly in UP, like ISKCON temples in Uttar Pradesh and Haryana and adjoining preaching fields. He is very inspired to see the exceptional young devotees that have come to Srila Prabhupada's ISKCON to push on that Chaitanya Sankirtan mission, and feels blessed to encourage them in their service to the society. So I request Prabhu to start his lecture. So Sarvadik Prabhu will be giving lecture on Lord Chaitanya instructions to Srila Rupa Goswami and Sanatana Goswami. Okay, Hare Krishna.
Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschachare Shatarine Nama Shishtam Manumapi Sachiputram Atra Sarupam Rupam Tasyagajamuraparim Matarim Goshtavadim Radha Kundam Girivaram Moho Radhika Madhavasam Prapto Yasya Patita Kripaya Shri Gurum Tam Nadosmi Vande Nanta Advaitashayam Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhum Nichopi Yat Prasadat Sad Bhakti Shastra Pavarjaka Nityanandamaham Nomi Sarvanandakaram Param Harinama Padam Devam Avaduta Shiromanim Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya Cha Nanda Gopa Kumaraya Govindaya Namo Namo Nilachala Nivasaya Nityaya Paramatmane Balabhadra Subhadrabhyam Jagannataya Te Namaha Vrindaye Tulsi Devaye Priyaye Keshavasya Krishna Bhakti Padi Devi Satyavate Namo Nama Vanchakalpatrupischa Kripa Sindhu Vacha Ititanam Pavinibhyo Vaishnavibhyo Namo Namaha. So actually the scheduled speaker was His Holiness Mahaduti Swami. He's not feeling well. Apparently he's caught the cold that's circulating through the community. So we hope he gets well soon and is back to his usual blissful self. So I got short notice, so I'll do my best to fill in for him. Today's topic is Mahaprabhu's instructions to Srila Rupa Goswami. We prayed to Rupa Goswami, Sri Chaitanya Mano Bhishtam Stapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadam Hahyam Dadati Swapadantikam. Srila Prabhupada would recite this prayer invariably at every gathering, every lecture, every class he would give. Because he said this ISKCON society is the Manobhishtam of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. His own personal desire, Pritivate Yachi Dachanagaradi Gram Sarvatya Pachor Horbi More Nam. This is the message of the mission of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And Srila Rupa Goswami, his mission was to fulfill that desire, his Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's Manobhishtam. So this society, Prabhupada writes in one purport, this ISKCON society is the Manobhishtam of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So the exact translation of this shloka is, when will Srila Rupa Goswami Prabhupada, who was established within this material world, the mission to fulfill the desire of Lord Chaitanya, give me shelter under his lotus feet. So we are known as Rupanuga Vaishnavas, not just Vaishnavas, but followers of Rupa Goswami, because he's giving the world the instructions directly from Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He is the source of our sampradaya, you can say, our specific sampradaya as followers of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. We prayed to Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, Rupanuga Virodhapa Siddhanta Dvanta Harine, that Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada would not tolerate, he was completely intolerant of any description or any conclusion that contradicted that which was taught by Srila Rupa Goswami. So we follow in his footsteps. We're known as Rupanuga devotees. So Srila Rupa Goswami, previous to his meeting Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he and Sanatana Goswami had practically become like Muslims, Dabir Khas, and taken Muslims' names, Dabir Khas and Sakir Malik. But when they met Chaitanya Mahaprabhu at Ramakeli, everything changed, because this is the effect of coming in contact with pure devotional service. What to speak of coming in contact with the Supreme Lord Himself. So as soon as they met Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, they became overwhelmed with devotional ecstasy. And Rupa Goswami recited this famous verse, Namo Mahabhajanaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gauratishe Nama. And they immediately went back home and made plans how to leave the service of the Shah, of Nawab Hussain Shah. Rupa Goswami collected all his wealth, and he set example for all Vaishnavas actually. He gave 50% to Vaishnavas and Brahmanas for the propagation of Krishna consciousness. He gave 25% to his family, and he set aside 25% for emergency, which ultimately was used to free Sanatana Goswami from prison. So someone may ask, because Srila Prabhupada also asked the same thing, that Grihastha devotees who are earning should give 50% of their earnings to the process of propagating Krishna consciousness for devotional life. Someone may ask, if I give 50% of my earnings, how will I pay my bills? I won't be able to eat. So we should understand this properly. 50% of your income means 50% of what's left after you pay your bills. Discretionary income. It's not that Srila Prabhupada expected devotees to starve, but that whatever discretionary income is there, instead of spending for sense gratification, one should spend that money in the service of the Lord, because it belongs to Him. What to speak of the money, our own body belongs to Him. The air we breathe, the food we eat, the house we live in, our bank balance, our family, our car, our home, our sons, daughters, wife, husband, all belong to the Lord. What to speak of our income? So a devotee, recognizing that, takes it upon himself to support devotional activities. The whole responsibility of the financial responsibility rests on Grihastha ashram. How are we building this beautiful temple here? How are all these buildings come up? They didn't fall from the air. They're the result of the generosity of devotees that were successful in life, successful in business, and who had the generous mentality of doing something positive for the mission of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So that 50% means different for different people. 50% may mean for one person 1,000 rupees. For another person it may mean 1,000 crores. But money is meant for the service of the Lord. Actually, the Lord says everything is meant. Yat kuroshi yad ashnasi yajdahosi dadasi yat tapasyasi konteya mat kurushva madarpanam. He says, offer everything to me. Whatever you eat, whatever you offer, give away, whatever austerity you perform, whatever you do, mat kurushva madarpanam, offer to me, because it's the Lord's property. And in this way, we don't become entangled. The Lord says in the next verse, Shubha Shubha Palarevam Mokshase Karma Bandhanai Sannyasa Yoga Yuktatma Vimukto Mam Upaishyasi. That if we live our life in this way, offering everything to the Lord, as was shown by Srila Rupa Goswami, we're not entangled, neither in Shubh activities or Ashubh activities, sinful life or pious life, because a life of piety also entangles us in the material world. Good karma is actually bad karma, because it means we have to come back to this world to enjoy the fruits of our punya, our sukriti. Why we see so many opulent people in this world? Because of their purva punya. Purva punya means you have to come back to enjoy that. So shubhasha mokshase karma bandhanai. We become free from shubh and ashubh, piety and impiety, by offering everything for the satisfaction of the Lord. And ultimately he says, Mamvi Vaishyasi, that you come back to me by this activity. Doing everything for His satisfaction. Mat Kurushva Madarpanam. So Srila Rupa Goswami showed perfect example of this, of offering everything for the service of the Lord, but not neglecting his secular responsibility also. That's another thing. We should also see that family responsibility is also connected with the Lord. He gave 25% to his family. It's not like, oh, you're not my wife, you're not my husband, you're not my children, I have no connection with this world. He was responsible. He used money also for family, because devotee sees family is also connected with Krishna. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur prayed, Manasa deho geho yo kitshumor arpilantua pade nanda kishor. O Nandikishore, my mind, my body, my home, Yokichum, or whatever little bit I call my own, I offer to you. And this is spiritual life. Spiritual life is not a life of renunciation, because renunciation will never get you bhakti. Bhakti is not a product of renunciation. It's not a product of knowledge. Bhakti begets bhakti. So when we offer something to Krishna with our heart, in the previous verse he says, Patram pushpam palam tvayam yome bhaktya parachnati tadaham bhakti uparitam ashnami prayatan. Offer me the smallest, most insignificant thing, a leaf, a flower, a fruit, water. With devotion, Krishna happily accepts that, as if he's very, very hungry. Does he need fruits and flowers? Leaf, water? Mediterranean Ocean is there, Indian Ocean, Pacific Ocean, Atlantic Ocean, Red Sea. Billions of gallons of water are available, creation of the Lord, just in this world. Why is he asking for water? Why is he asking for fruits? In due course of time, the trees are overburdened with fruits and flowers. Does he need fruit, flower, water? What does he want? He wants our devotion. This is the key to our progress in spiritual life. When we offer something to him with devotion, he accepts. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was called to this world by insignificant offering of Ganga Jal and Tulsi. Talasi dali matrena jalasi chulokineva tadatmanam bhaktebhyo bhaktavatsala. This is Srila Prabhupada quotes this verse in the description of Advaita Charya calling Lord Chaitanya to this world. He simply offered the most insignificant thing, some water and the leaf, tulsi leaf. But Krishna said that someone who offers me a palmful of water and one tulsi leaf with devotion, there's nothing in my power, I have nothing in my possession to offer them, therefore I offer myself. This is the power of bhakti. Krishna is controlled by bhakti, and it begins in our own home. Not thinking that I'm working hard, I will enjoy this money, it's for me. I'm the Ishwaroham aham bhogi siddhoham balavan sukhi. I'm the enjoyer, I'm perfect, powerful and happy. This will simply drag you to hell. Trivadam narakasiyedam dwaram nashnavatmana. Kamalobhatarasdo lobas tajat. That one should give up lust, greed, anger, because they're gates to hell. So what is the remedy for this? We sacrifice. We give money for the propagation of Krishna consciousness, to uplift others for the benefit of society, because there is no greater benefit than propagating Krishna consciousness. We can build a hospital. Hospital is a good thing to have, because in due course of time, we will all need a hospital. This is the nature of the material world. But a hospital, most well-equipped hospital, most modern hospital, with the most brilliant doctors, with the most up-to-date technology, cannot solve the problems of life. It cannot solve the problem of death. Hospital cannot solve the problem of death. Food cannot solve the problem of hunger. Medicine cannot solve the problem of disease. What solves the problem of life? Krishna Bhakti. So our responsibility is to follow the example of Srila Rupa Goswami and give in charity for the propagation and upliftment of human society. Propagation of Krishna Bhakti and upliftment of human society that is only possible by propagating the Sankirtan movement of Lord Chaitanya. Yoga is not going to do it. Karma is not going to do it. Jnana is not going to do it. Only this simple thing, the propagation of Nam Sankirtan. And this is the Manobishtam of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu that was perfectly understood by Rupa Goswami, who is propagating it all over the world. So Sanatana Goswami also is described in this beautiful chapter. I'm summarizing the chapter, chapter 19, Madhya Lila. It describes the discussion between Rupa Goswami and Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Sanatana Goswami got himself in trouble also with the Nawab, and he lied for Krishna. Because what is the meaning to lie? Lie can be something very negative or it can be something positive. Lie can drag you to hell. Lie can implicate you in sinful activity. And truth can also drag you to hell. Example is given. Some brahmanas were being chased by some dacoits. Vaishnava brahmins were being chased. One pious man gave them shelter. Said, come to my home, I'll hide you in the attic. So this pious Brahmin was very truthful. Truthful to a fault. So when the dacoits came to his home, he says, are those Brahmins that we're chasing, are they in your home? He said, yes, they're in my home. He dragged them out and killed them. His truthfulness was the cause of sin. But falsity, lie, can be the cause of bhakti also. And here is an example. Sanatana Goswami said, I'm sick. I can't attend my office. I can't help you. I'm sick. But the Nawab Hussain Shah sent his physician to check on Sanatana Goswami. And what did he find? He's sitting with 20, 30 Brahmins discussing Srimad Bhagavatam. So the Nawab Hussain Shah said, you please come. I'm going to attack Orissa. And Sanatana said, no, I cannot go. You're going to attack my Jagannath and you expect me to help you? Impossible. So the Shah threw him in prison. Long story short, he bribed the jailer and he got out and they met Chaitanya Mahaprabhu at Prayag, at Dashashvamedha Ghat. Now this is a very special meeting. We can ask, why did Lord Chaitanya spend 10 days teaching Rupa Goswami and Sri Vallabh, who met him at Dashashvamedha Ghat? Srila Prabhupada writes in the purport, very important thing, quote, the special function of Srila Rupa Goswami is to establish the feelings of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. These feelings are his desires that his special mercy be spread throughout the world in this Kali Yuga. The desire of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is that all over the world, everyone, in every village and every town, know him and his Sankirtan movement. These are the inner feelings of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Srila Rupa Goswami committed to writing all these feelings of the Lord. Now again, by the mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the same feelings are being spread all over the world by the servants of the Goswamis. And devotees who are pure and simple will appreciate this attempt, as concluded by Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami. However, those who are on the level of hogs and dogs will never appreciate such a great attempt. Yet this does not matter to the preachers of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's cult, for all over the world they will continue to perform this responsible work, even though persons who are like cats and dogs do not appreciate it. What is Srila Prabhupada saying here? The real benefit of the world is to propagate the Sankirtan mission. There is a class of Vaishnava who thinks that Vaishnavism means to sit in a secluded place and do japa. To chant 1 lakh of Nam, to chant 2 lakhs of Nam. That's very good for them. They're immensely benefited taking shelter of the holy name, but they're selfish. They don't care for the propagation of the mission of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Prahlad Maharaj said, Naivo dvijay paraduratya vaitaranyas taddirya gayana mahamrita magna cheta so chetato vimukha chetasi indriyartha maya sukhaya baramudvahato vimudhan. He says, my heart bleeds to see people suffering in this world. For myself, I have no problems. I'll cross over Vaitarani river, I'll go back to God, and I have no problems for myself. What is my problem? My problem is to see the suffering of those foolish rascals. Varamudbahan, Vimudan, the Vimudas, who've taken this heavy burden of material life and get nothing in result. What do they get for working hard, struggling like an ass? Nothing. Sita atapa bhattavareshana idina jamini jagire vipale sevinu kripana durajana chapala sukala balagire. Srila Govinda Das sings his beautiful song, Bhajaharemana. In blazing heat, in blasting wind, freezing winter, they're struggling hard. For what? Chapala sukala balagire. Edana Jovana Putra Parijana, Edana Jovana Putra Parijana, Iteke Achi Paratiti Re, Kamala Dala Jala Jivana Talamala, Bajahu Haripada Niti Re. Saying that whatever you get slips through your fingers, it's all temporary, as much as water on the pad of a lotus pad is temporary. Lotus pad has specific characteristic. It's very waxy in the substance. So water comes on it and it can't stay. The slightest wind sends it back into the body of water. So wealth, family, youth, all of these things are all temporary. And people work hard just for this. And what do they get at the end? Nothing. So Prahlad Maharaj is saying, my heart bleeds for them. And not only do they get nothing, mostly they go to hell for their sinful life, dedicated to simply gratifying their tongue, belly, and genital. Such an unhappy life. So a devotee bleeds for those persons. He can never be happy sitting in a secluded place for his own liberation, for his own spiritual emancipation. But there is a class of person who criticizes the preachers of Krishna consciousness. They say this is karma. It's not karma. Krishna is the enjoyer of this. It's his manobishtam. It's Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's manobishtam to spread Krishna consciousness to every town and village, to every nagar and gram, to every city and town and small locality in the world. And here in Mayapur we see the result. African devotees, Chinese devotees, American devotees, Mexican devotees, European devotees, Japanese devotees, from every town and village coming here to Mayapur to spread the message, to learn and spread the message of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. The prediction is that devotees will come here and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's message of Sankirtan will spread all over the world from Mayapur. So this is the mission of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and this is the mission of our acharyas, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur and Srila Prabhupada, who perfectly understood the message from his guru, who understood it from his guru, who wanted to see this message of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu spread all over the world. Prabhupada said, this movement, ISKCON, is the manobishtam of Lord Chaitanya. So we should meditate on that. Lord Chaitanya's manobishtam, what did God want? And if you participate in that, how much mercy will accrue to you? How much benefit will come to you if you participate in the process that pleases the Lord more than any other thing? More than millions of aratis, more than millions of flowers, to go out and approach Jagai and Madai and ask them, you please chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Because why else are we building big temples? Why else are we distributing millions of books, 260 million books? Millions of people receive Krishna Prasadam from ISKCON temples and devotees every day. Why do we accept so much trouble? For what purpose? That one blessed day, a person picks up a japa mala and begins to chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra. For this purpose. This is the manobishtam of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. We don't exist. ISKCON doesn't exist for the purpose of ISKCON. ISKCON exists for the benefit of human society. That they can wake up their dull brain to accept the value of chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Because this is the most, it's the fruit, the ripened fruit of all the Vedas. Madhuram Madhuram Etan Mangalam Mangalanam Sakala Nigamavali Satphalam Chitsarupam Sagradapi Parigitam Shraddaya Helayabha Brigavaranaramatyam Tarayat Krishna Nama. This Krishna Nama is the ripened fruit of the entire tree of Vedic wisdom. It's the sweetest of all sweet things, the most auspicious of all auspicious things. And even if one chants inattentively, even inattentive chanting can liberate one from this world. Such an auspicious thing, such an important thing to propagate all over the world. This is the mission of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, his own manobishtam, and Prabhupada said this ISKCON is the manobishtam of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So Srila Prabhupada wrote in this regard, Parasya Shaktir Vividaya Shruyate, I'm quoting from one purport in this section. The Supreme Lord has multi-potencies which the Lord bestows on His fortunate devotees. The Lord has a special potency by which He spreads the Krishna consciousness movement. This is explained in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Antilila, chapter 7, text 11. Kalera dharma, Krishna nama sankirtana, Krishna shakti vinanahita pravartana. One cannot spread the holy name of Krishna without being specifically empowered by Lord Krishna. A devotee who receives this power from the Lord must be considered very fortunate. The Krishna consciousness movement is spreading to enlighten people about their real position, their original relationship with Krishna. One requires Krishna's special power in order to be able to do this. The Lord also empowers a special devotee to teach people their constitutional position. So Krishna Shakti, only by Krishna Shakti will the Sankirtan movement spread. It's not by managerial expertise, it's not by money, it's not by intelligence, it's not by good birth, it's by mercy, by the Shakti of the Lord. Some people say, some grossly offensive people say, that Srila Prabhupada was successful in spreading Krishna consciousness because he was a good businessman. Have you ever heard that before? So offensive. So offensive. In Chaitanya Charitamrita, it's explained that only with pure devotees, the Antaranga Shakti comes to those pure devotees, and what do? Only they are able to spread Krishna consciousness. Only they get Krishna Shakti. So how can we say that Srila Prabhupada spread Krishna consciousness because he was a good businessman? What envious mentality is that? Deeply envious, cat and dog mentality. To think that that ISKCON spread all over the world with millions of devotees, millions of books, prasadam, books, temples. I'm fortunate to spend time in North India. Just in Delhi NCR, there are 18 big temples. Not small temples. Big temples. And in 1 month, in 2018 I believe, Delhi NCR devotees distributed 800,000 Bhagavad Gitas in 1 month. 1 month. That's more Bhagavad Gitas in 1 month than all of America has done in several years. It's more Bhagavad Gitas than the Gaudiya Math has done in several decades. This is the power of Krishna Shakti that's come to devotees who surrender themselves to the mission of Lord Chaitanya. So someone, if you ever hear this thing, don't bother hearing it. Oh, thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna. Material body is just a botheration. Always giving some trouble. So don't tolerate, if you hear this, if you're so unfortunate to meet someone who thinks like that, challenge them. So while Rupa and Sri Vallabha were with Lord Chaitanya, one great devotee, his name was Vallabha Bhatta. Vallabha Bhatta was a South Indian Brahmin who later became known as Vallabhacharya, and he started his own sampradaya, Pushti Marg. He was also the recipient of special mercy from Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, because when he brought his own tika, his commentary Srimad Bhagavatam, he says, my commentary on Srimad Bhagavatam is better than that of Sridhar Swami. Mahaprabhu said, anyone who doesn't accept Swami is a prostitute. Making play on words. In other words, saying, who doesn't accept Sridhar Swami is a prostitute. Who doesn't accept husband is a prostitute. He started his own sampradaya, Pushti Marg. And actually they've kidnapped our Gopal, Madhavendra Puri worshipped Gopal on Govardhan Hill, and he placed the deity in charge of some Brahmins. So you see that same deity, Madhavendra Puri's Gopal deity, is being worshipped in Nathdwar today as Sri Nathji. He's our deity. Everyone knows. They kidnapped him. You can go see him. He's very beautiful. But he's actually Gaudiya deity. He's our deity. But being worshipped by Pushti Marg. You see, you go there and they have little silver toys in front of Gopal. They don't give him any chili. All very sweet food. They have one well full of ghee. And they bring in cane juice and make their own sugar. So Gopal's food is very tasty, sweet and rich. Delicious type of food that a young boy would like to eat. So they worship him very nicely. But he's our deity. So this is Vallabhacharya. And when Rupa Goswami and Sri Vallabha saw him, they were feeling themselves very low. And they offered their obeisances. They said, Nich jati, nich karma, nich sangi, patita adhama. I'm fallen. Everything about me is fallen. My work is fallen. And they took very, very humble position. They took straw in their teeth and they bowed down before this Brahmin. But the Brahmin could understand that these are actually great devotees. And he quoted this verse from Bhagavatam, Aho bhatasa pachoto guriyan yajdivargri vartate nama tubhyam te pustapaste juhuvas sasnaraya brahmanuchar nama grananti yete. That means that if the holy name is on the tip of one's tongue, he's done everything. He's done sacrifice. He's given in charity. He's bathed in holy rivers. He's gone on Tirtha Yatra. He's studied Shastra. He's done everything required. He's actually Aryan. Even if he's born in the family of Swapachas, dog eaters. Because the holy name is on the tip of his tongue. For such a person, what is left to achieve? Someone who's done yoga and jnana and karma and sacrifice, karma, all types of spiritual activities. What's left for that person? Only Krishna Prema. We should take note. Because we're also chanting holy name. From all different types of diverse backgrounds, we're all chanting the holy name. What achievement is left for us? Karma? We've done that. Yoga? Done that. Been there, done that. Jnana? Bahunam janmanam ante jnanamam prapadyate. Vasudeva sarvamiti samahatma sudurlava. We've done that jnana. Birth after birth you can do jnana. Jnana is helpful. We also appreciate knowledge. But jnana is like a knife. If you want to eat a mango, you take a knife and you peel the mango and you cut it in pieces, you offer the mango and you eat. You don't eat the knife, you eat the mango. But the knife is via medium to help us eat the mango. So jnana is very helpful in bhakti. But it cannot give you bhakti. But a devotee who's chanting the holy name has done jnana and karma and yoga and tirtha yatra and holy dips. He's done everything, studied shastra, everything required. What is left for him? Krishna prema. How do we get Krishna prema? From Krishna nama, chanting holy name. This is the result, this is the fruit of chanting the holy name of Krishna, Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. So when Rupa and Sri Vallabha saw this devotee, he could understand these are actually great devotees. They praised him, oh, you're a great Brahmana. But who is a Brahmana? What is a Brahmana? Is it by birth? Krishna says in Gita, Chaturvanyam maya shishtam guna karma vibhagasha. He says, I've created four types of categories, vibhagasha. They're created, maya shishtam. They're created by me. We talk of varnashram dharma. We think we're going to institute varnashram. It's already done. Krishna says, maya shishtam. We simply have to organize, to define, to set rules, to set parameters of behavior. What is a Brahman? What is a Brahmana's activity? Patan patan yajan yajan dana pratigraha. He's meant to study Shastra, to teach Shastra. Worship the deity and teach other people to worship the deity. In other words, to make other people devotees. To accept charity and give charity. Simple life. Samo dhamma tapassocham kantir ajravam evacha jnana vijnanam astikyam brahma karma subhavajam. 9 qualities and 6 activities, 6 karmas. That's a Brahman. There's no mention of birth. Narada Muni told Yudhishthir, Yasyaya lakshanam proktam pum sarvana vibhanjakam yadandrapi dishyeta tattainava vanir dishet. If one is born in the family of Brahmanas, but his quality, his guna, is that of a Shudra, he is a Shudra. And if someone is born in the family of Shudras, but he has the quality, the qualification of a Brahman, he is a Brahman by qualification, not by birth. There is no mention anywhere. Guna karma, vibhagasha. No mention of janma. But they say, Brahman by birth. They say rabbit only begets a rabbit. Horse only begets a horse. A deer only begets a deer. And a Brahman begets a Brahman. This is bogus. My father was an orthopedic surgeon. Can I operate on any of you? Any volunteers? My father was a doctor. I should have the quality. If everything's by birth, I should have the qualities of my father. Any volunteers to operate? Get a scalpel and just start cutting? Bogus idea. So who is a Brahman? Brahman by quality. So Vallabhabhata understood that, and he quoted this verse, Bhagavad Bhakti Hinasya Jati Shastam Japastapa Apranasya Dehinam Dehasya. He said that someone who's devoid of bhakti, doesn't matter if they have big qualities, high birth, big country, renunciation, wealth, knowledge. What are they? They're decorations on a dead body. We're interested in the quality. Krishna is interested in the quality of our heart, the quality of our activity, our guna, and our karma, how we serve the Lord, how we feel about the Lord, what is our relationship with the Lord. He doesn't care what family you're born in, what color your skin is, how tall you are, tall, short, skinny, fat, weak, young, strong, old, young, male, female. He doesn't care. What is he? He simply wants your devotion, your bhakti. So this meeting was very significant between them. And then, after this description, Lord Chaitanya begins to describe the process of devotional service. And he said it's impossible. He's speaking to Rupa Goswami now. And he says, impossible for me to describe devotional service completely, because it is like an ocean. So let me describe just one drop. And if we taste one drop of pure devotional service, the whole world can drown in that drop of pure devotional service. So Lord Chaitanya made very extraordinary description. And he first starts out by explaining that there's 8,400,000 species of life. 8,400,000, not 8,400,001, 8,400,000. Srila Prabhupada emphasizes this. And the soul is transmigrating throughout them all. And their souls, sarvagataha. Souls are everywhere. Just if we analyze a square meter of water from Ganga, what will you find there? You'll find algae and some protozoan life, parameciums, amoebas, stentor, all different types of single-celled creatures are there, some fish, some snail, some algae. All different types of life forms are there in a square, thousands, hundreds of thousands in a square meter of water. How many square meters of water are there in Ganga? How many trillions, innumerable living beings are just in Ganga? And they're living souls just like each and every one of us. Atma is there. Wherever we see life, there's Atma. Like these mosquitoes. People will say, it's all chemicals. Such a foolish idea. Is a mosquito chemicals flying through the air? They want to suck your blood? Is it just some chemicals? Such a foolish idea. Atma is there. And our blood is food for that soul and that particular body who's taken the birth as an Atma. This is the only explanation of the soul and life that makes any sense. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu started out 8,400,000 species of life. Then he divided it between those who are Stavara and Jangama. And he defined what is Atma. Stavara, Keshagra Shatabhagasya Shatada Kalpitasya Cha. He said if you take the tip of a hair, how small is that? Take the tip of Keshagra, the tip of one hair, and you divide it 100 times. Then you take that 100th part and you divide that 100 times. That is this dimension of the soul, of the Atma. For those who have a scientific background, that's 2 angstroms is how big we are. We may think, I'm a big devotee. Or so-and-so is a big devotee. You're 2 angstroms, Prabhu. Keshagra Shatabhagasya, 100,000, the tip of, size of 1/10,000th, the size of a tip of a hair. This is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu saying. And Stavara and Jangama, 2 types of living beings. Stavara means those living beings like trees. They can't move. Mountains, they're stationary. Tree is what? Padaput. It eats through its feet. It drinks through its feet. It can't move. And Jangama. Jangama means living beings that are moving. Then it talks about human beings. Human beings are also very small in number. Only 400,000 species of human life. And that means all different races, not just on this planet. The Gandharvas, the Kinnaras, all different types of living beings within the creation of God are categorized as human beings. Then it divided further those who follow Vedic principles and those that do not. Kirata hunandra palinda pulkasha abhira shumba yavana kashadaya yenye cha papa yadapashraya shaya shudyanti tasmai Prabha Vishnave namaha. That all types of living beings can be purified by the association of a pure devotee. But there are many, many types of people. Those that follow and those that don't. Another division. Then he went on. Among the followers who follow Vedic principles, said most of them only give lip service to Vedic principle. Say, for example, we hear people, I'm a Hindu. But they're eating meat, eating fish. Is this within the construct of Dharma? It's adharma. But they say, I'm following Dharma, I'm a Hindu, Sanatan Dharma. Since when does eating meat have anything to do with Sanatan Dharma? It's sinful. They're poppies. They're giving lip service. I'm a this or I'm a that. And we see that all over the world. People give lip service to religion. I'm a Christian, I'm a Hindu, I'm a Jew, I'm a Sikh. They give lip service to religion, but they don't follow the principles of religion, which are rejected. Bhagavatam rejects all type of cheating types of religion. So some people follow Vedas, other people do not. Amongst those who follow, only a few are not deviated by karma kanda. What is karma kanda? I give you this, and you give me that. Fruitive work. Even sometimes, unfortunately, we see devotees doing this type of thing. They do Satyanarayan Katha. Balo Shri Satyanarayan Bhagavan ki toot. I gave you ghee, gehun ka atta, milk, curd, flowers. Now you give me. This is not dharma. This is business. This is the mentality of a banik. Mentality of a business person. Lord, I gave this, now you give me. This isn't bhakti. This is business. So amongst those followers of Vedic principle, mostly are deviated by karma kanda. Amongst all the followers of karma kanda, only one you'll find that aren't deviated. You'll only find one jnani, a thoughtful person. But what do the jnanis want? They want to merge with the impersonal absolute, to become one with Brahman. This is another illusion. Bhagavatam says, Yenye chavjam daksha vimuktimanyanastvayasta bhavan avishuddha buddhaya aruya kristrena parampadam tada padantyadho nadata yushmadangraya. They're thinking, I've become liberated. This is only in their mind liberated. But because they don't take shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord, they fall down again into material life. They may rise by kristrena sadhana, by extreme austerity. They may rise to the Brahmajyoti. But because it's unnatural for the soul, they fall down. Srila Prabhupada gave an example. He said, just like an airplane may take off and fly in the sky. It can fly very nicely, but it's unnatural situation. As soon as the fuel is exhausted, it falls down from the sky. So by their austerity, the jnanis who want to merge with the impersonal absolute, become one with God, they can do that, but they can't stay. Aruya parampadam, they may achieve parampadam, Brahmajyoti. But padantyadho nadvita yushmanangra, they fall down because they don't take shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord. Why? Because they say lotus feet of the Lord are Maya. That Rama, Krishna, Lakshmi, Saraswati, Shiva, Ganesh, Indra, Varuna, they say they're all products of Sattva Gun, Maya. Therefore we say Mayavadi. They say Brahman is everything. It's only Brahman, and this is only, and everything else is reality. So they can't take shelter of Krishna because they think Krishna is Maya. So what is the use of jnana? Can it really help you? Their objective of merging into the impersonal absolute, can it really help you? No. But they're wise. They understand something about this material world, that we can't stay here, that is full of suffering. Tukhalayam ashashvatam. A materialistic person thinks, let me make it sukhalayam shashvatam. I can stay here and be very, very happy. So Jnani knows this material world is full of suffering. He knows I can't stay, but his conclusion is wrong. More than the Jnanis, out of millions of such wise men, one may be actually liberated. Out of millions of such liberated souls, a pure devotee is very rare. And Krishna says, same thing in Bhagavad Gita, Manushanam sahasreshu kastyan yatadi siddhaye yatatam api siddhanam kastyan mam veti tattvataha. Out of many thousands among men, only one asks relevant questions. Why am I here? What is this life? How was I born? What is the objective of life? How do I understand God? Out of 1,000 men, probably more like 1,000,000 in Kali Yuga, only one even asks these questions. And if you take 1,000 thoughtful persons, only one of them becomes a devotee. Devotees are very, very rare. Pure devotees, even more rare. Krishna, and then this verse is quoted, Krishna Bhakta Nishkama Ataveta Shanta Bhukti Mukti Siddhi Kami Sakala Ashanta. Only a devotee of the Lord can be happy. These jnanis unhappy. Those who want to enjoy this world, unhappy. Yogis, unhappy because they have some extraneous objective in life. They want something other than Krishna. How can they be happy? They want something other than Krishna. Happiness will always elude them, evade them. So this verse is quoted in this discussion with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who's describing to Rupa Goswami. And then he quotes this verse, important verse, famous verse, Brahmanda Brahmite Konya Bhagyavan Jeev Guru Krishna Prasadi Pai Bhakti Lata Bij. Who is fortunate? Who is Bhagyavan Jeev? After wandering through millions of universes and millions of species of life, who is fortunate? Guru Krishna Prasadi Pai Bhakti Lata Bij. Who has bona fide spiritual master, who has received the seed of bhakti in his heart, who thinks, I only want Krishna. Come what may, I only want Krishna. This is pure devotional service. Then this verse is quoted. Anyavilashita shunyam jnana karmadhyanavitam anukoyana krishnanushilanam bhaktir uttama. What is bhakti, uttam bhakti? That I don't want anything but Krishna. I only want to make Him happy. This is pure devotional service. More than yoga. Don't be distracted by yoga, good for your health. But in millions of lifetimes practicing yoga, you'll never get a shred of bhakti. It's not for bhakti, it's for your health. Don't misunderstand. Bhakti cannot help you. Jnana cannot give you bhakti. Karma, of course, cannot give you. It's selfish. Only bhakti can give you bhakti. Even the most insignificant activity can give you all perfection in spiritual life. In this way, Krishna levels the whole playing field. Anyone who takes shelter of Him can go back to God. And he says in Bhagavad Gita, Mam chayo vibhicharine bhakti yogena sevate saguna samatitaitam brahma bhoyaya kalpate. By bhakti, we transcend the influence of the modes of material nature and come to spiritual platform, beyond the influence of the modes of material nature. So Lord Chaitanya is speaking to Rupa Goswami. He starts out the very, very ABC, that there's millions of life forms, and he comes to the most rare thing, most refined, rarefied thing, Krishna Bhakti. So one who achieves that has to nurture that Bhakti. One has to become a gardener and nurture that Bhakti Lata Bij, because that Bhakti Lata Bij is very, very delicate, especially in the beginning of spiritual life. Komal Shraddha. Komal Shraddha means our faith is very weak. And Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Ashradana Purusha Dharmasyasya Parantapa Aprapya Mam Nivartente Mrityu Sansara Vartmani. Those who are not faithful in bhakti cannot achieve me. What do they get? Mrityu Sansara. They return to this world of birth and death, which is also very instructive. It's very instructive to be locked into birth and death. One has to have faith to make progress in spiritual life. So that faith is nourished by Shravana and Kirtana. This is the water that maintains our Bhakti Lata, that makes it grow and ultimately reach the kingdom of God, Goloka, and take shelter on the lotus feet of the Lord and produce the fruit of Krishna Prema. And the whole process is based on hearing and chanting. Even when it comes to the stage of Prema, the watering process of hearing and chanting still goes on. Then there's a very important discussion. Because what can destroy that Bhakti Lata Bij? What is the enemy, the mortal enemy of our Bhakti Lata Bij? That is Sadhu Ninda, Vaishnav Ninda. And in the purport to this verse, Srila Prabhupada, interestingly, talks about Guru Avagya as being Sadhu Ninda. To disobey the orders of the spiritual master as being Sadhu Ninda. Because who is Guru? Guru is sacrificing his life. Srila Prabhupada would say, buckets of blood, sweat and tears to bring someone to Krishna Bhakti. Sacrificing everything for the disciple. Then the disciple says, why should I follow? This is Guru Avagya. This is Vaishnav Ninda. And this is the greatest enemy for our Bhakti Lata Bij. Our Bhakti Lata Bij has to be fenced. The Shastra describes, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu described, we should build a fence around that Bhakti Lata Bij. What is that fence? We should understand very carefully. Because if we don't have that fence, our Bhakti Lata Bij can be trampled by the mad elephant of Sadhu Ninda, Vaishnav Ninda, Vaishnavi Ninda. We cannot offend devotees, because devotees are extremely rare and extremely dear to the Lord. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, there's a story of Durvasa and Ambarish Maharaj. Durvasa offends Ambarish. He wanted, not just offends him, he tried to kill him. He created a fire-breathing demon to kill Ambarish Maharaj. But the Lord sent his Sudarshan Chakra to pray. Kauntaya pratijanihi name bhakta pranashyati. Krishna told Arjuna, declare it boldly, my devotee never perishes. So Krishna sent his Sudarshan, he turned that Sudarshan Chakra to dispatch the demon, and the Sudarshan Chakra began to chase Maharaj Durvasa. Now when the demon came in front of Maharaj Ambarish, he folded his hands and he's thinking, this is all Krishna. Mrityu sarva haraschaham. Krishna is death. If he's come, let me die. If it's Lord's will, then let me die. But when the Sudarshan Chakra came and turned on Durvasa, Durvasa ran all over the universe trying to save himself. See the difference between a yogi and a bhakta. See the difference. Bhakta is completely dependent on Krishna in life. Manasa deho geho. His body, his mind, everything is mine. Radha Krishna pranamor jugala kishore. Jivana marane gati ar nahi more. Narottam Das Thakur prayed. In life and death, there's nothing more for me than Radha Krishna. They're my prana, they're my life, my everything. In life and death, they're everything. So Ambarish Maharaj was not disturbed, but Durvasa ran all the way to Vaikuntha and threw himself at the feet of Lord Vishnu. Said, please save me. Lord Vishnu said, I cannot, because you've offended my devotee. You're a sadhu ninda. You're an offender to my devotee. Then he said, Aham bhakta paradino na swatantra ivadvaja sadhu virgrasta hridayam bhakta bhakjanano priyaha. Says, the devotees are very, very dear to me. They're everything. They don't know anything but me. My devotee doesn't know anything but me, and I don't know anything but my devotee. When the four Kumaras came to the gates of Vaikuntha, and there's a big scene with Jai Vijay. Lord comes there and he told Jai Vijay that if my arm offends my devotee, I'll cut off my own arm if it offends my devotee. Lord has so much feeling for his devotee. He's Bhakta Vatsal. Bhakta Vatsal means, Vatsa means a calf. How much affection does mother cow have for her calf? Calf is everything for mother cow. And Krishna has that same loving affection for his devotee. His heart is everything for his devotee. So if we offend devotee, what will that do to our bhakti lata bij? This is the mad elephant's offense. And we fence it off, Srila Prabhupada explains in the purport, by staying in association with devotees and avoiding the association of non-devotees. Lord Chaitanya was asked, who is a Vaishnava? Tell me, who is a Vaishnava? Lord Chaitanya said, someone who gives up the association of non-devotees. Asat sangha tyaga. Asat sangha tyaga e Vaishnavachar. Asat sangha means non-devotee, who has no interest in spiritual life. Now someone may think, many of you are grihastha devotees. You have a job, an income, and you go to office or you go to a business situation, and you associate with non-devotees. Is this what Lord Chaitanya is talking about? No. Never. You're giving your association, but if they say to you, hey, John, or hey, Santosh, let's go out and party. It's Friday night, let's go. And you go into their space, their mentality, their lifestyle. That is association with non-devotees. And Srila Prabhupada writes in these purports that when, quote, when one associates with non-devotees, the maddened elephant is set loose. The first business of a Vaishnava is to give up the association of non-devotees. So what is the fence that protects our bhakti lata bij? Association with devotees and following the instructions of the spiritual master. So when you're in the situation where you're in the association of non-devotees, they're benefited. That you influence them, they don't influence you. Do your business. We should be known as friendly people. Don't think, You're a non-devotee, don't talk to me. I'm a Hare Krishna. Not like that. We should be friendly. Devotees by nature, friendly. Maitra koruna evacha. He's friendly, merciful. So we should be known as friendly, merciful members of society. We don't separate ourselves from society, we separate ourselves from society's bad habits. This is the meaning of not associating with non-devotees. So the fence, we should build very strong fence. Prabhupada said that fence is association with devotees. Now some very interesting verses come after this. Oops. I'm quoting from the verses written in Chaitanya Charitamrita. Quote, sometimes unwanted creepers, such as the creepers of desires for material enjoyment and liberation from the material world, grow along with the creeper of devotional service. The varieties of such unwanted creepers are unlimited. Verse 158. Some unnecessary creepers growing along with the bhakti creeper are the creepers of behavior unacceptable for those trying to attain perfection. Diplomatic behavior, animal killing, mundane profiteering, mundane adoration, and mundane importance. All these are unwanted creepers. There's a funny story. In our Seattle temple, back in the old days, we didn't know what is tulsi. So they had one pot, and they're taking care of the plant that was growing there very carefully. They're going, Yani Kani, Chappapani, Brahmahattari Kani, Vrindayi, Tulsi Devi. They're bowing down, they're worshipping, they're offering a lamp, offering incense. Praying, oh, please bless me. It wasn't Tulsi. It was some weed. They're worshipping and watering a weed, and we can do the same thing in devotional life if we're not careful. If we chant Hare Krishna Maha Mantra without desiring to give up sense gratification, to give up bad habits, to be the best devotee we can be, then we're watering that weed, and that weed can choke out the Bhakti Lata Bij. So we should be careful. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is warning us. And he mentions 6 things. First thing, Nisidachar. Behavior not to be exhibited by a person desiring to become perfect. Whole society is watching us. When you go out in public, don't go out dressed like a ragamuffin, torn cloth, dirty cloth. Go out perfectly dressed because society is looking at you. Go out with nice tilak, very nice tilak, clean cloth, nicely dressed, not for prestige, not for ahankar, but because we're representing Srila Prabhupada's ISKCON. And our behavior should always be ideal. No shouting, no name calling, no bad behavior in public, because the public is looking at us. Because we stand out in public, with our tilak, our kantimala, our dhoti, our sari. Oh, that must be ISKCON person. And if we behave badly in public, then we bring shame to Srila Prabhupada's ISKCON. So we should be very careful how we behave in public. Kutinati means diplomacy. Being two-faced. Being duplicitous. That you say one thing to, oh Prabhu, you're like my best friend. Then you're with someone else. You know, that guy's really a nonsense. You know, he does this and he does that, and I heard he's this and blah, 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 blah. But on his face, oh, you're my friend. This is to be given up. Devotee is straightforward. He's a truth speaker. He doesn't have 2 lives, 2 faces. He has one face, the face of Krishna Bhakti. This is what I am. I'm imperfect. I have so many bad faults, but this is face value. This is what I am. He doesn't pretend. He doesn't pretend to be something he's not. No duplicity in his life. No kutinati. Jiva hingsa means unnecessary killing animals. Devotees aren't killing animals. But there's also another kind of jiva himsa that Srila Prabhupada described, which is not taking part in the Sankirtan mission of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. This is violence. Do not preach Krishna consciousness. To support the preaching mission of Lord Chaitanya is actually violence. Because what other benefit is there in society? How else can they be benefited? Only by this mission of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, there's real benefit. So we should participate somehow or other, in some way, raising children, selling books, building temples, balancing books, worshipping deity, cooking, cleaning. Srila Prabhupada said the person who's washing the floor and the devotee offering the arati, same. Or another time he said that if the pujari is offering one flower to the deity and he puts the flower on Krishna's lotus feet and that insect kisses the lotus feet of Krishna, he is as good as the pujari. So no discrimination. We want to preach Krishna consciousness in some way or another, and this, if we don't do that, if we don't participate somehow or other according to our capacity in the mission of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, this is violence. Hinsa. So we practice ahimsa by preaching Krishna consciousness. Labha means profit according to material calculation. We should be happy with what comes. Because Srila Prabhupada said many times, you can't get more and you can't get less. You can't get more than you're destined. Why be greedy? Why be unhappy? Why be stressed? You do what you're meant to do to create income to support your family and be happy. You can't get more and you can't get less. If we really had faith in this statement, how happy we'd be, how stress-free we'd be, how satisfied we'd be. But people are mad after money. But what can money do? Money is always a problem. If you don't have money, that's a big problem. You can't pay your bills. And if you have money, how will I keep it? My family wants it, the thieves want it, the government wants it, my wife wants it, my husband, everyone wants my money, how can I keep it? My money, my esteemed godbrother, revered godbrother, Sri Srimad Gaur Govinda Maharaj used to say, money, 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 sweeter than honey, brighter than sunshine, sweeter than honey. Money, money, money. Money is a problem unless we use it for Krishna. Then there's no more problem. Lakshmi is meant for Narayan. Sita is meant for Ram. Ravana's mentality is, it's all for me, it's for my pleasure. It's not for your pleasure. It's for Krishna. Because money can buy you a bed, but can it buy you sleep? Money can buy you food, but can it buy appetite? Money can buy you nice clothes, but can it buy character? It can buy you a house, but can it buy you a home? We should think these things very carefully. So why labha? Greediness for money. If you have that, you'll simply get yourself in trouble. Puja, adoration, achieved by satisfying mundane people. This is self-explanatory. Why should we put ourselves like you can say, why am I sitting in the big seat? I mean, you could fall off and hurt yourself. Why is it? What is it for? Not for me. It's for what is being spoken. Because these are the words of the Supreme Personality of God and His pure devotee. I'm simply repeating. It's not for me. But if I think, I'm a great devotee. See, they gave me this garland. They gave me a big seat. You're all sitting and listening. I'm a great... This is Maya. Puja is to be rejected. Same with Pratishta. Becoming an important man in material calculations and so on. At the last verse of Hari Bhakti Vilas, Srila Sanatana Goswami says, try to give up Pratishta. Try to give it up. Not easy. A man may give up, or a woman may give up so many other things in this world. Not easy to give up Pratishta. If we say, oh, Mishra Bhagavan, such a great devotee, so pure, so knowledgeable, so renounced, so dedicated to Srila Prabhupada. Oh, tell me more, tell me more. But I say, Mishra Bhagavan, you're a rascal, you're a fool, you're a nonsense. Oh, how dare you say that to me? We're influenced by this, by Pratishta. So Sanatana Goswami says, try to give up Pratishta. Why? Because it's the root of all anarthas. Pratishta is the root of all anarthas. Why do we fight with each other? Why do we argue? Why do we criticize devotees? Why do we want to drag them down? Because we want to be great. We want to be right. Pratishta. This is to be given up. Because these are unnecessary creepers that will choke the bhakti lata bij and destroy your spiritual life if you let them grow. Next verse. If one does not distinguish between the bhakti creeper and other creepers, the sprinkling of water is misused because the other creepers are nourished, while the bhakti creeper is curtailed. As soon as an intelligent person, intelligent devotee sees an unwanted creeper growing beside the original creeper, he must cut it down immediately. Then the real creeper, the bhakti lata, grows nicely, returns home, back to Godhead, and seeks shelter under the lotus feet of Krishna. Try and understand. We should all try to understand this point. We're exchanging Krishna, Goloka, for such tiny, insignificant things. One time, Srila Prabhupada came to check on the progress that our godbrother Shyam Sundar Prabhu was making, carving Jagannath deities, the first Jagannath deities in San Francisco. So he was a wood carver, carpenter, and Prabhupada came, the progress of our esteemed god sister, Malati Mataji, was telling the story that he was going slow because Prabhupada wanted to see the deity carved before he left San Francisco. So he was intentionally going slowly to keep Prabhupada in San Francisco longer. So Prabhupada came to check on the progress, and there was a pack of cigarettes sitting on Jagannath's head. So he took his cane and they said, don't let this small thing come between you and Krishna. Don't let this small thing, puja, labha, pratishta, these are small things. Don't be deviated. We have the opportunity in this lifetime, tyaktva deham punar janma, naiti mamiti swarjana. We can go back to Godhead. This lifetime, it's within our grasp. Don't be deviated by small things. So Prabhupada mentions in the purport many other things to be given up, creepers that can grow in our heart. There's a long list. I'll read some of them. There's a long list of creepers, unwanted creepers that can grow in our heart that we can unintentionally nourish when we're actually meaning to come closer to Krishna. Number one, chanting without the desire to give up sense gratification. Our chanting has a purpose. We have an objective, a prayojana. Our prayojana is Krishna prema. And if we're not chanting with that purpose, if we're not trying to be the best devotee we can be, you're just coasting. You're just waiting for Maya to overcome you. So chanting without desire to give up sense gratification is an anartha. Liberation, like the Mayavadis. We talked about that. That's not real liberation. It's false liberation. Yoga Siddhi. By practice of Patanjali Yoga, Patanjali Yoga system, one can actually develop Siddhi. But in yoga has become a joke. It's just a bad joke. Because yoga means Ashtanga Yoga. 8 processes, not just asana. In America, it's a big joke. They're thinking they're yogis. They're sitting in Padmasana with Jnana Mudra. Now I'm doing yoga. Doing, what do they call this? Some meditation, some breath process. Asana is one part. Yoga begins, yoga indriya samyama. Yoga begins with sense control. If the yoga studios of America taught this, they'd be empty tomorrow. Because they think my yoga process will increase the quality of my sense gratification. This is bogus. But actual yoga process, Ashtanga Yoga, Yam, Niyam, Asana, Pranayam, Pratyahara, Dhyana, Dharana, Samadhi, 8 processes can actually give you Siddhi. You can become smaller than the smallest, lighter than the lightest, control people's mind, get anything you want. Prabhupada tells the story of his teacher who went to see his guru. And his guru said, "What do you want?" He said, I want mangoes from Kabul. I want pomegranate from Kabul. He said, go to the next room. He goes to the next room, and there on the table is a pile of pomegranates from Kabul, fresh pomegranate. This is called Prapti Siddhi. It's not a myth. It's not an illusion. It is possible. But what will you get from it? You can buy pomegranate in the store, in the market. What is the use of yogic siddhi? You can fly in the sky. You can get on a jet airplane and fly in the sky also. What is the use of yogic siddhi? It is an anartha. Diplomatic or crooked behavior. Associating with women to enjoy their body. We associate with women for the purpose of Krishna consciousness. Women associate with men for the purpose of Krishna consciousness. It is said that women are like fire and men are like butter. And they melt when they get near a woman. Okay, what happens when you get butter and fire and you put it together? Something very nice happens. You get ghee. You take butter and you put it under fire and you boil it. It makes ghee, and with ghee we do sacrifice. We make delicious food stuff and offer to the Lord for His satisfaction. So a holy relationship between man and woman progresses us in devotional life. We make progress in devotional life by this association. But if you associate with a woman simply to enjoy her body, or if a woman associates with a man just to enjoy his body, this is big maya. It's an anartha. It's a weed that will choke your devotional creeper. Making a show of devotional service like Sahajiyas. One time, when Sahajiya came, and he was carrying on in front of Srila Prabhupada. He's going, oh, Radhe, Radhe. He's rolling on the ground. Radhe, Radhe. Radhe, Radhe. Prabhupada ignored him. He got tired, got up, walked away. This is also happening all over the world. Claiming an opulent spiritual life. Actually, we're running out of time. Many anarthas that grow alongside our Bhakti Lata Bij. Then Mahaprabhu talks about two witches. What are those witches? That will make you crazy, that will destroy your Bhakti Lata Bij. Liberation and sense gratification, bhukti and mukti. Bhukti mukti siddhi kama sakala ashanta. They simply make you unhappy. How can a witch help you? Then towards the end of the chapter, Mahaprabhu talks about 5 rasas. Shanta, Dasya, Sakya, Vatsalya and Madhurya. And that when opulence becomes prominent, this is an important understanding for us as Gaudiya Vaishnavas, because as Gaudiya Vaishnavas, what is our prayojana? Our life is not just meant for rules and regulations. Don't do this, don't do that, you got to do this, you got to do that. Anartha nivriti. Devotional life doesn't end with anartha nivriti. What is our prayojana? Radha Krishna seva pavo abhilasi. Eneve danadara sakhirano gatakaro seva adhikaro diye koro nija dasi. Prabhupada gave us this process of bhakti that is miles beyond Vaidhi Bhakti. Vaidhi Bhakti is just a means to come to a higher stage of understanding. That we can enter Raga Bhakti, Raganuga Bhakti. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came for this. Rupa Goswami says, Anarpita chirim chirat karunaya bhatirna kalo samarpaitum unnato jalarasam sabhakti shriyam hari purata sundara jyotikadamba sandipita sada hridaya kandare spirituva sachinandana. What did Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came to give? Swabhakti shriyam, his own bhakti, his own experience of love of God. What more you want? Unato jalarasam means Madhurya Bhakti. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came to give that. Krishna Prema Pradayate. This is our prayojana. This is what we want. This is what we should be meditating on. This is the process that Srila Prabhupada gave. Don't tolerate any nonsense that says, oh, ISKCON's just about Vaidhi Bhakti. Bogus! Such a bogus idea. Prabhupada gave us everything in our sadhana. We sing this song every day. What does it mean? Radha Krishna Seva Pava. They say, oh, by your Vaidhi Bhakti in ISKCON, you can only go to Vaikuntha. Best you can be Mahishi and a queen in Dwarka. Spit on this idea. These people are so dull, they forgot their experience in ISKCON. Or they never learned anything about ISKCON. They simply bark like dogs. What did Prabhupada give us? He gave us this, Radha Krishna Seva Pava. This is our prayer. Every single day we're singing this prayer for Tulsi Maharani. Our Nivedana, our prayer, our Abhilash is what? Radha Krishna Seva. Karunya Jadasi, make me your maidservant. Nikunjayono Ratikili Siddhayayali Yukti Rapekshani. This is our meditation. Are we there? No. So what does it mean? Srila Jiva Goswami explains that we're practicing Ajata Ruchi, Raganuga Bhakti. Ajata Ruchi means our Ruchi for Krishna, for the process of Bhakti, for Radha Krishna. It's not born. We're not there yet. But we're practicing the principles of Raga. This is what Srila Prabhupada gave us. Don't mistake. Don't make any misunderstanding. And people that criticize in this way, you chastise them. You do not understand A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, you do not understand what he taught, and you don't understand ISKCON and what we're trying to propagate and preach all over the world. What are we singing? What is our prayer? Radha Krishna Seva Pavo. Give me service to Radha Krishna. This is my abhilash, this is my heart's desire, this is my prayer, this is my everything. Not the Mahishis of Dwarka, in Mathura, in Vaikuntha. We're not Vaikuntha Vasis, we're Goloka Vasis. We're simply trying, the only thing that separates us is time. If we follow that what Srila Prabhupada gave us, because he gave everything in his books. He gave more than you can digest in one lifetime. What need is there to go anywhere else? There is no need. Digest what Prabhupada gave you. And to say, I hardly can stand for the words to come from my mouth. They say, oh, Prabhupada didn't give you everything. Such a bogus idea. There's nothing that any other person can give you that Srila Prabhupada cannot give you, that our acharyas cannot give you. We have everything within the walls of our ISKCON society. We should carefully understand that and challenge any bogus person who says otherwise. You do what you want to do, but don't base your life on criticizing this institution. So opulence, when opulence is prominent, this is described here as Sankuchita Priti. Love of God is crippled by this. What did Prabhupada give us? He gave us raga for Krishna. And the examples are there. When the gopas are taking prasadam, they're all sitting in circle. And Krishna is eating off his devotee's plate. And devotee is eating off Krishna's plate. Krishna is ready to take a sweet, and devotee takes it from Krishna's hand and pops it in his own mouth. They're taking food right off Krishna's plate. Can you take food off Lord Nishingadev's plate and pop it in your mouth? Can you take food from Radha Krishna's plate? We're sadhakas, but this is our prayojana. This is what's possible by the process Srila Prabhupada gave us to enter into this realm of raga, of emotional attachment, feeling, and lack of intimacy. The sakhas, the gopals, the gwalbals, the cowherd boys have no sense of superiority. They challenge Krishna. Say, come on, you and me, let's fight. You think you're so big, Krishna? Come on, let's wrestle. They steal food from him, they tease him. They say, Krishna, we brought very nice sweet for you. Close your eyes, open your mouth. We're going to give you very delicious sweet. So Krishna closes his eyes, opens his mouth, and they put one flower in Krishna's mouth and they laugh. Ha ha ha. They make fun of Krishna. They tease him. They wrestle with him. They eat off his plate. Krishna eats off the plate of his devotee. This is intimacy that Srila Prabhupada is making available to us by this process of Krishna Bhakti. When Krishna goes to rescue the sons of his guru, Sandipani Muni, and he appears in the kingdom of Varuna. When Varuna sees Krishna and Balaram, he's folding his hands and he's offering prayers. He's bowing down, he's offering arati. Here is the Supreme Lord, he's worshipping him like this. But what does Nanda Maharaj think? Oh, my son Krishna is so nice. He's such a nice boy. Even Varuna Dev is offering him respect. This is the difference. Not sankuchita, not crippled bhakti, but the intimate bhakti. Swabhakti Shayam, that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came to give, to distribute to the world. And this is Manobhishtam, this is what ISKCON is meant to give to the world. This intimacy, love of God. Not just worship of God, not just bowing down to God, not being afraid of God, but worshipping and loving God. This is what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came to give. And Lord Chaitanya meant to distribute this to the world through his intimate associates like Srila Rupa Goswami. So we pray to him. Sri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Jaina Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam. Thank you very much for your kind attention. Vancha Kalpatubhischa Kripa Sindhuve Vacham Titanam Pavinibhyo Vaishnavibhyo Namo Namah. Srila Rupa Goswami Prabhupada ki Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Paribrajaka Chajashto Dharasati Shishimad Abhay Charana Ravinda Bhakti Vinanta Swami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Jai Nitai Gaur.
Thank you so much, Prabhu, for your wonderful class. So we thank to Prabhuji by chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. We expect Prabhu again and again. Every year we have this program. We expect you.
On your order. That's what's me.
Okay. So we have now with us His Holiness Bhakti Vasudev Swami Maharaj. So we welcome Maharaj by Haridwani and Huludwani. Haribol! Bhakti Vasudev Swami Maharaj is an ISKCON Guru and member of Spiritual Advisors Bhagavata Assembly Sabha. A partner of GBC, he has a PhD in Applied Management and Decision Sciences from Walden University. He is a consummate scholar practitioner of leadership and organizational change. He has authorized over 35 publications in international peer-reviewed journals and has extensive experience integrating Gaudiya Vaishnava technologies with management science. His recent Best Presentation Award winning research presentation at the World Academy of Science, Engineering and Technology Conference in London is Sonic Therapeutic Intervention for Preventing Financial Fraud. His preaching adventures are mainly on members of academia, professionals and youths, Krishna conscious development. He received his first and second initiation from His Holiness Bhakti Tirtha Swami Maharaj in 1986 and sannyasa initiation from His Holiness Jayapataka Swami Maharaj on February 26, 2009 in Sridham, Mayapur. We welcome Maharaj. Please come, Maharaj. Anything I missed?
Can I just stand?
Huh?
I can stand.
No, no. So Maharaj is going to speak on how all the residents of Varanasi became Vaishnavas. Thank you, Maharaj.
Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Vishaya Bhutale Semate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Itinamani Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pacharine Nirvisesa Sonya Bhadi Pasatyadi Satarina. Oh, good. Amagena to Miranda Siagana Zana Salakaya Saxul Malitam Yena to Smai Si Gorove Maha Sucheta Yamanom Vistam Stafitam Yena Bhutali Swayam Rup Kadamayam Daratisva Padantikam Vanchakal Pataribhyacha Kripasundabhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanabhyo Vaishnavibhyo Namo Namaha. So I'm thankful to the devotees who have set up this program. To organize a program is always very challenging. We may take for granted, but it's a very tedious service. And because it's tedious, it's very purifying to bring people together to speak or to share on topics in Krishna consciousness. So, majority of you here already know the story of how the residents of Varanasi were converted by Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. What basically I have to do is just to refresh our memories about this same incident. Now that was in the 15th century. Lord Chaitanya was returning from Vrindavan en route Varanasi to Jagannath Puri. So he stopped over at Varanasi and was hosted by some devotee. And that time, Lord Chaitanya was heavily being criticized by the Mayavadis. The concern of the Mayavadis seemed to be apparently genuine, but it was a destructive criticism. There is constructive criticism and there is destructive criticism. Destructive criticism means you want to bring the person down. You're not really helping the person to leverage their situation. And that was exactly what the Mayavadis were doing, headed by Prakasananda Saraswati. And Prakasananda Saraswati was such an erudite scholar that he was, unmatchable by any scholar of the time. And before we go ahead, perhaps we need to go into the etymology of that word, of that Varanasi. Varanasi etymologically is derived from two words, Varuna and Arsi. Varuna is a river, Arsi is another river. So Varanasi is at the confluence of Varuna and Arsi. And that is how the name Varanasi came to existence, according to the etymologists. We're not very concerned about etymological affairs, but sometimes it's also good to get into the root of matters. So Varanasi has been a city or a place of learning. It was a hub of learning. Still is very much renowned for the residence of astute scholars. But mainly, at that time, Mayavadis. So, these Mayavadis, they didn't very much like the idea that Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was engaged in Sankirtan. When they see Lord Chaitanya, a young Sannyasi, engaged in Sankirtan, it seems that he is off the track, because by dint of his Sannyasi lineage, he is supposed to embark on the study of Vedanta, perform austerities and engage in the study of Vedanta. But Lord Chaitanya was not doing that. And so, criticisms was leveled on him based on the fact that he was engaged in Sankirtan. Sometimes, people wonder, and even our devotees, people criticize our devotees for, why don't you do something else? Huh? Why just engage in, dancing on the streets? Singing and dancing on the streets? So, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu founded this Sankirtan movement. Golokera Premadan Harinam Sankirtana. The Sankirtan movement is an import. We like import goods. People now in India, they want to use Japanese cars. Tata is producing very nice cars here. But, the taste for imports is there. We want to engage in some activities or some enjoyment proclivities that are rooted in import duties or import goods. So, this very Sankirtan movement is also an import from the spiritual world. So for those of us who like import goods, I think that the Sankirtan movement is meant for us. So Lord Chaitanya was very, very, very expert in satisfying the needs of human society, because he knows that human beings will like foreign goods. And the Sankirtan movement is from the spiritual world. He found that, little bit background, he found that, and this Sankirtan movement is not based on just some religiosity. It's based on science. The congregational chanting of the holy name is based on science called synergy. Synergy means when two or three people or two or more people come together to do a particular thing, the result is always greater than the individuals separately doing that thing and bringing the results of those individuals together. And that is why Lord Chaitanya is on the basis of the principle of synergy that Lord Chaitanya established the Hare Krishna movement. So it is a scientific movement based on its foundation, even just by its foundation alone, is a scientific movement. And Lord Chaitanya, he did not only found the movement, he was also spreading the chanting of the holy names. And when he was a child, when he was Nimai, he would defeat so many people in arguments. And so one of the things that intrigued Prakasananda Saraswati during his conversation with Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu after the Maharashtrian Brahmin and the other devotees, Chandrasekhar and others, pleaded that, look, you are being blasphemed and we can't tolerate it. This is giving us a lot of depressive feelings. They want to meet Lord Chaitanya. For all, ordinarily speaking, Lord Chaitanya wouldn't budge. He wouldn't care about people criticizing him. But when the devotees became concerned, when the devotees were very much worried about the whole blasphemy, Lord Chaitanya decided to take some action. And that is why when the Maharashtrian Brahmin arranged for a meeting with the Mayapur sannyasis, Lord Chaitanya kindly and willingly accepted. It was because of the devotees. He wanted to relieve the devotees of their anxieties. A pure devotee, Lord Chaitanya has come to demonstrate the activities of a pure devotee. One of those qualities of a pure devotee is his paradukha dukhi. It's most aggrieved to see the suffering of other people. So when the devotees were feeling aggrieved, they were feeling very sad about the blasphemy that was being made out unto Lord Chaitanya felt that feeling of reprieve. He wanted to get the devotees out of this type of depressive feelings. And hence he accepted the offer to meet with the Mayavadis, headed by Prakasananda. And so, when this invitation was accepted by Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, as per the presentation of the Maharashtrian Brahmin, the Maharashtrian Brahmin was very happy. Because the Maharashtrian Brahmin, he knew the potency of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And his idea was, if these people, these Mayavadi sannyasis, Prakasananda and his men, could just agree to meet Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, even the beauty of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu alone will still their hearts. You know, Krishna was always involved in some leelas of stealing. He stole the gopis' clothes. He stole the gopis' hearts. He stole his devotees' hearts. In fact, Bipa Mangal Thakur wrote a very nice poem which describes the stealing activities of Lord Krishna. So, whether he comes at Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, a thief is a thief. He is still the same thief. And this time around, he steals the heart of people, of the non-devotees, and he makes them to chant the holy names. He steals even the hearts of lions. And so, when the desire of the Maharashtrian Brahmin was met, by dint of the acceptance of the invitation to meet with the Mayavadi sannyasis, his heart, the pleasure in his heart knew no bounds. So when they met, the Mayavadis headed by Prakasananda, they were questioning Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu why he was doing what he was doing. So you're a sannyasi, you're a young sannyasi, you're supposed to sit down and study Vedanta. But you're following all these sentimental people and then just singing and dancing on the streets. How is that? Can you explain to us? the response from Lord Chaitanya was that his spiritual master had told him that he was a fool. He wouldn't be able to comprehend Vedanta. And he gave him a mantra to salvage him from this situation. Just to chant this mantra and forget about, rigorous study of the Vedanta, because he's a fool. So he told the Mayavadi sannyasis headed by him. He told this to the Mayavadi sannyasis. But Prakasananda, he knew the activities of Nimai Pandit. So when he had this story from, this response from Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, it didn't sink with him, because he thought, this is the same Nimai. He's not a fool. He's just playing games. He's not a fool. He was Nimai and he was defeating everybody he met. Every Pandit he met, he was defeating them. So how could he be a fool? But you see the humility of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. As a sannyasi, he was so humble. And this is a good lesson for us, especially those who are carrying danda, those sannyasis. Humility was a watchword of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And what does humility imply? It implies that if even you are being accused, you still have to relegate yourself below the expectations of the accusers. This was exactly what Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu did. They were saying he was sentimental, but he said, it's like saying, is that just what you know me about, sentimental? I'm a fool. This is what my guru told me. So imagine, someone comes to accuse you that you did something, and you accepted before the person that, I am worse than that. I do this. We want good names. We want good reputation. But Lord Chaitanya completely was oblivious to the reputation that people will expect in society. So I can imagine. The same Nimai Pandit here comes after taking sannyas. He took sannyas because he wanted to impress on people. He wanted to easily convert people. He wanted to give Krishna prema, Krishna bhakti to people, because the people will listen better when he took sannyas. And after even attaining the highest order of spiritual life, he says he was a fool. So we may recite these leelas, but what is the impact on our own personal lives? What is the impact on our personal dealings with other people around us? What is the impact of the leelas on our behavior? Does it help to modify our behavior? So there are so many lessons we can learn from this very episode of Lord Chaitanya's pastimes. Normally, when people are highly learned, if you saw even a little thing against them, they will revolt. But here, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is saying, I am a fool. This is what my guru told me. And therefore, I can't understand Vedanta. I have no business in studying the Vedanta. But you know what? And he explained to them what the mantra is doing to him. He told them, don't think I am just pretending. The mantra, the Hare Krishna Maha mantra, he told them, is what is impelling him to behave the way he was behaving. It's not a question of a willful action. It's just spontaneously. So, the power of the holy name, and except we come to that platform where we're chanting and we become intoxicated. We're chanting and we're having tears gushing out from our eyes. We're chanting and we begin to dance like a madman or a mad woman. If we've not gotten to that stage, there's a need to be humble. But even Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he was on the topmost stage of Krishna Prema. But he was so humble. What could be more of a humble mindset than someone saying something and you say you are worse than what they are accusing you of? And so the conversation went on. They asked Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu questions. It was like in the court, so the accused person is put in a box, and then they start prosecuting, they start examining the person, asking questions. It was a similar case. It was a quizzical trial. Trial based on quiz, questions. But Lord Chaitanya satisfied the Mayavadis. He didn't get angry. Imagine someone asking us questions of allegations and accusations. We may get offended. We may get angry. So there's a good lesson to learn here. The need for humility in preaching the mission of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, as exemplified by Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself. And as the conversation continued, the disciple of Prakasananda Saraswati glorified, eulogized the part of bhakti, so much so that the other members of their contingency, they were full of awe and reverence for bhakti. And even Prakasananda Saraswati himself, when he started speaking and glorifying bhakti, it was amazing. I still remember specifically in this Chaitanya Charitamrita chapter, Madhya Lila, chapter 25, text 32, if I'm not mistaken. Prakasananda Saraswati made a reference. He recounted the statements of Lord Brahma, where Lord Brahma was condemning the impersonal liberation. And to quote Lord Brahma by dint of what Prakasananda said, he said, Yanye Ravidaksha Vimukta Maninas, Twawasta Bhavat, Avisuddha Buddhaya, Arya Krishna, Parampadam Tata, Patantya Do, Yusman, Dritanam, Yusman Angriya. Yeah, what the verse implies is that Lord Brahma says those who are on the path of impersonal liberation, and they feel that they are liberated. Lord Brahma says they are not liberated. It's just simply due to impure intelligence. Avisuddha Buddhaya. Because of impure intelligence, their intelligence becomes contaminated by dint of their own practice of austerity, heavy austerities. Can you imagine when intelligence could become contaminated by dint of austerities? But this is the assertion of Lord Brahma. He said impersonalists, they are not liberated. Their so-called conception of self-liberation or with intent to merge into the Brahman Jyoti, and they think that they are liberated. In fact, they have the conception that they are Narayan, or Daridra Narayan, poor Narayan. Narayan cannot be poor. Narayan cannot be the Ridra. You see, if we consider the situation of the Vaishnavas, or the Vaishnavis, or the Vaishnavism, we are very small on the planet. Our population is very minuscule. Even in India, we have more Mayavadis than personalists. We have more impersonalists than personalists. In fact, those from the West who came to India to even seek for a spiritual culture, in most cases they encounter the impersonalists because they are all pervading. They are all pervasive. So, in the conversation, Lord Chaitanya accepted a humble position, explicated and responded to all of the queries of the Mayavadi sannyasis. And because of his patience, because of his erudition, he recounted several, Vedic assertions that, ordinarily speaking, the Chatusloki, the Atmaram verse, it interpreted in several different ways. So how could someone who called himself a fool act in that way? So what the thought of Prakashananda Saraswati was very correct. Because when Lord Chaitanya said, he said he was a fool, and the Guru said he was a fool, he shouldn't study the Vedanta. That's why he's engaged in the so-called sentimentality on the streets. Prakashananda, he was very intelligent. He didn't buy the idea because he knew this was Nimai. So, we understand how these Mayavadis, because of their conviction on the part of Bhakti, by dint of the interactions, you see, this is one issue that, again, we don't seem to, majority of us don't seem to comprehend. This is the part of Sangha, association. Now, we say these words or we repeat these terminologies all the time, but they are not just religious assertions. Because even the very concept of the phenomenon of association is of scientific proof. Now, in physics, that's what we call osmotic pressure. Osmotic pressure determines or is able to let us know how association is so impactful. Now, that experiment of osmotic pressure is based on, you have two solutions. The two solutions are separated by a thin membrane. One is highly concentrated, one is not. When you keep these two solutions side by side, separated by a membrane, after a few number of hours, you come and watch, you come and check, you see that the strong solution has drawn a weaker solution, completely almost empty. That's what association does. So, by association with Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the Mayavadis became purified. And they even joined in the Harinam party of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And when the inhabitants, the residents of Varanasi, got to understand that Prakasananda is now has been converted by Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. You know, whatever a great man does, the common man follow. Lord Krishna said that in the Gita. And in fact, in those days, when two sects or two leaders, spiritual leaders, had a debate, and the one who is defeated surrenders to the one who defeats him with all of his or her followers. And that was how all the Mayavadis, all the residents of Varanasi, they became followers of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Because their leader, Prakasananda Saraswati, was now a follower, was converted to Vaishnavism, And therefore, all of the Varanasi residents, they became Vaishnavas. They became followers of Lord Chaitanya's movement. And this is not strange, because the Lord could even make lions and deers chant the holy names. What to speak of human beings? You could affect the animals of high density ignorance. If the Lord could even change, purify the animals in Jharkhand forest to chant Krishna's names, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Human beings are supposed to have intelligent discrimination, the consciousness of even the most dull-witted human being cannot be compared to an animal. But Lord Chaitanya was able to convert even animals. He was able to have an impact on the animals. And this is, again, the power of environment. Like we go to the holy dam, or we go to the temple, or we go to the altar. You know, these are special environments. Why do we love going to the temple? Why we love going to the holy dam? Why we love going to different theaters? Because we have a belief that we're going to be purified just by going to those places. Those are places that have high-profile spiritual energies by dint of the activities that are always being performed in those places. Again, I would like to draw science into this. Now, this is not just, our going to the holy places is not just some type of religious belief or religious dogma. There's been a scientific study that was conducted, several years ago by a German psychologist called Professor Lewin. He developed the field theory, and the field theory stipulates that the environment impacts on our behavior. I mean, it's like someone comes to Mayapur, whether he chants or he doesn't chant, whether he's a devotee or he's not a devotee, he has accrued a lot of pious merit just by coming to Mayapur. And so the environment that we are living in impacts on our lives. Lord Chaitanya created an environment even in Jharkhand forest. By passing through the Jharkhand forest, the whole of the lions and the other animals in the forest could chant. By having a dialogue, a discussion with the Mayavadis in Varanasi, the whole of the Mayavadis become purified. Again, the principle of environment. Environment constitutes of people. And so, we have to understand how this Krishna consciousness is all scientific. Lord Chaitanya founded this movement on the basis of science, on the basis of synergy. And a lot of people turn to Krishna consciousness, or they become converted, or they had a fortune of practicing Krishna consciousness by associating with devotees. So, Sangha, the Sankirtan movement, and so many other things, they are based on scientific values. And therefore, the Krishna consciousness movement is not another religion. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has come to establish the Sankirtan movement for all and sundry to have a leverage in the consciousness. And so, we may say that the residents of Varanasi, they were very lucky they met Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and that is why they had that great fortune. But Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is still here by dint of his Vani. His Sastakam speaks louder than words. If we even follow these instructions that he left behind, 8 very profound instructions. We may recite these instructions every morning, but, implementation of those teachings is another thing that could allow us to have the ruchi that we needed dearly in our lives. So, we're happy that we had a chance to be able to come to hang out with all of you here. And we'd like to stop here. Maybe there are some comments or some questions. Come here. Come. Listen, I'm very praised to you, mate. That's the reason. Yeah.
Yeah, any questions?
Hare Krishna Maharaj. Sometimes we don't have the ability to exert the influence on someone, but how do you propose that our movement would get, like Srila Prabhupada and Krishna before him has said, that we should influence the leaders of the world, right? But if we don't have access, is there some strategy that you propose personally? How do we do that? To
Yeah.
get to them, please do explain.
That's a nice question. And you know, one of the major things that a number of world religious leaders do is to create avenues where they can have impact on world leaders or people in high-profile positions. Now, the Harinam Sankirtan is very purifying. We go into the streets, we purify the environment. And even the people who are not within reach, they get purified. That is the power. In fact, there was some scientific research that was conducted in Washington, D.C., I think in 1990, not by devotees, but people chanting holy names. And they were able to have that period, they measured the crime rate in D.C. area, and they find that the crime rate reduced. So even people who are not within close proximity, they benefit. Now, the question is, what about people who are locked up in their offices? They are high-profile people, you know. What do we do? Yeah, we also have to have high-profile people who will reach out to them. Because these people, they don't walk on the streets. And so one of the strategies, these are some of the things that I do. I remember some years back, I was in Mayapur here, and two devotees came to meet me. They're from South America. They're from South America. They wanted me to come to their country. So, and two ladies were standing by the corner. So they were speaking to me. They wanted to give me a ticket to come to their country. So I told them, very funny. I told them that if you want a black Swami to come and help in the preaching, I can get someone, I can arrange for somebody to come. And they said, no, we need you. I said, if you need me, this is what I want. And I made a real heavy demand. Real heavy demand. I said, you arrange for me to meet the president of your country. Arrange for me to meet the prime minister of your country. The minister for agriculture, the police chief. I gave him so many challenging tasks. So those two ladies, not knowing they're the wives of those two gentlemen who were talking with me. So they were laughing at their husbands because they never had met someone to invite them and then make this type of high demands. So I just dismissed them. I left India. I think I was in one other continent. I don't know whether in Africa or someplace. And then the home I used to stay in New York, you know, the lady called me on the phone. She called me on the phone and said, come back to the U.S. So I came back to the U.S. and she said that we have to go to South America, that we have some special programs. I said that some devotees have met me and I explained to them why I wouldn't go there. Except they arranged some external programs. I said I didn't want to just come, spend their ticket money to come, and it's the same thing. What they want me to come and do is what any devotee in the movement who has spent 6 months in the movement and the study purpose but can do. They can give the Sunday class and whatever. Why spend your money on me to come to your country based on that? So she told me that, oh, no. there's some arrangement to meet all of your demands. They're going to arrange for you to meet the president of the country. They're going to arrange for you to meet the Minister of Agriculture. And it was like a joke. So we went, and for, by Christian special arrangement, these guys did arrange for me to meet the president of the country, the Minister of Agriculture, some police chief, and the Prime Minister. And then each day, because that time my schedule was very tight, so I spent only 6 days in the country. But each day, in some days we had like 6 TV programs, some of them live and some of them recorded. And we met with the president. We gave him a set of Prabhupada's books. I went there with one of Prabhupada's disciples. He's late now, she's late. And another group of devotees. So it was very exciting, because the gentleman, he was pretty young. The president of the country was pretty young at that time. And we had good exchanges. He was very pleased. And he told me, he said before we came to his office, he said he has watched me on TV. you know the top shots. If someone wants to see them, they go to check their background. And so he had gone to already excavate my background, and he was also very desperate to meet with me. So we had that meeting, and it was a big boost for the devotees in that country. And the idea is that when we have those type of contacts, it signals that we are reaching out for high-profile people, and the common people, or even the middle-class people, they respect and will want to hear about our philosophy, because we have made a big catch in the country. They are head of state. And so one of the strategies that we can implement in trying to reach out high-profile people is that we acquire high-profile skills. We should encourage our young devotees, our children, to have high-profile skills. Because when they have high-profile skills, in the offices where they are working with their colleagues who are high-profile personalities, their values are not comparable to the values of their colleagues. And their colleagues will naturally want to befriend them, will want to be like them. And sometimes you don't even need to preach. I remember the case of one IT research fellow in South Africa. I was living with her and her husband, and she told me the story. She was a researcher working with a research firm. And she told me the story how she was the only research fellow from ISKCON in that office. And one day, all of them, they know her values, what she does, what she doesn't. And so one day, one of her fellow colleagues, she just came to her and asked that she taught her Bhakti Yoga. That's how she taught the woman how to chant. And subsequent days, when it is time for break, when other researchers, when other scientists had gone out for, eating and drinking, they would stay under a shed in the compound to chant Hare Krishna. So this is a typical example of how when we have one high-profile personality in some location, in some office, it has a major influence on the environment. It has a major influence on their colleagues. It has a major influence on the workers and their subordinates in that very office or that very environment. You don't need to do so much of preaching to be able to bring them to Krishna consciousness. So the strategy basically is, in fact, see, Bhakti Tirtha Swami, my Guru Maharaj, he asked me to go and do a PhD. He was very, very strategic thinker. And so now, I move into places, I go to meet professors. And I remember one time, I was pretty young, talking about strategies on how to meet high-profile people. I was pretty young. I was brahmachari, young at that time. I went to meet one professor. He was the head of the Department of Philosophy and Religion in a federal university. I put on dhoti, tilak, and all this stuff. So I want to meet him and request that he gives me a chance to speak to his final year students. And the guy, he just looked at me, up, down, and he told me, we don't do this here. In other words, get away. What did I do? At that time, I had 25 publications in peer-reviewed journals. So I told him that, excuse me, sir, but I have 25 publications in peer-reviewed journals in 5 years. I mean, in 3 years. He was shocked. That is never doable in academia. You can only publish maybe 1 paper in a year, not 25 publications in 3 years. Then, that dawned on him. He said, can I see some of those papers? Can I see some of those publications? The next day I came to him with 3 journals from the most reputed university in the country. And I showed him my publications. And then the whole thing, it took a new dimension, 360 degrees U-turn. He asked me, when are you coming to give your presentation? So, this is my own lived experience. And therefore, if we want some high-profile people, we should encourage some of our young children, some of our children, to go for high-profile skills. Thank you.
Any other questions?
Hare Krishna Maharaj, Dandavat Pranam. Maharaj, Srila Prabhupada wrote Chaitanya Chaitamrita, translated Chaitanya Chaitamrita, even leaving 13th chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam. He wanted to complete, but he knew that Chaitanya Chaitamrita needs to be translated by him only. But I've seen that Chaitanya Chaitamrita full of this chapter. I'm just reading the chapter 25, number chapter of Madhya Leela, that you spoke about the summary. So Maharaj, my query is that why we cannot quote the verses? Because it's a Bengali verses, Prabhupada wrote translations of the Bengali verses. So in the class, why we can't quote the verses or recite the verses? So that is my query.
Okay. See, I'm not a Bengali.
No, it is written in English, Maharaj. Everything is English.
Okay. No, you said it's written in Bengali.
Maharaj, it is in English. That Chaitanya Chaitamrita is written in English. So in the class or in the lecture, why can't we recite some verses? That is my query.
Okay. See, they didn't tell me the format of this very forum. If they tell me the format that you have to bring, a book, and then you start reading and, sharing that with the devotees, it would have been easier for me than speaking offhand. Okay. Like you give Bhagavatam class, the Bhagavatam is there, and you you read from the Bhagavatam, you read the purports, etc. Chaitanya Chaitamrita also has purports. Prabhupada has written a number of valuable purports to the Chaitanya Chaitamrita. So, yeah, and if we read those purports, they are very much leverage into our spiritual involvement. So, yeah, it is important that we utilize the books that Prabhupada have written for our own spiritual elevation. And it is also very important that in some cases, when we go to meet people outside there, we may not be carrying the books. If we're not carrying the books, we should be able to give them the essence of what the books contain. Does it make some sense to you? Does it make some sense to you? Does it make some sense to you?
Hare Krishna. Yeah.
Any other comments?
One more question.
Maharaj, I wanted to say that the Chaitanya Chaitamrita verses are so sweet, so nectarian. We may not recite 100 or 200 verses, but we can recite some verses like 3, 4, 5 verses to release the nectar. So that is my humble request.
Okay. We can do that next time.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Thank you.
Any other question?
Hare Krishna Maharaj, Dandavat Pranam. Thank you for the enlightening lecture and pastimes from Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. It was really purifying and really coming from your mouth, it was really enriching. Maharaj, my question is that according to the 10 offenses against the holy name, there is one offense that we should not preach to the atheist people. But we hear in Mahaprabhu Leela that he was preaching to the Mayavadis, and so what should be our approach when we come across such kind of people like Mayavadis or impersonalists or atheists? Please give us some light, Maharaj. Thank you.
We should not discriminate when we are preaching, but for Mayavadis, Lord Chaitanya specifically demonstrated that they could also be changed, but we are not Lord Chaitanya. And when we are meeting such people, see the Mayavadis, they're very astute. Prabhupada, one of the devotees, one of the brahmacharis who was here, tall, huge guy, he's late now, he told me he was a Mayavadi sannyasi. And he met Prabhupada. He challenged Prabhupada. He challenged Prabhupada. And they argued back and forth. Prabhupada defeated him. So he became a brahmachari in ISKCON. You remember that devotee's name? A tall one who was in brahmachari ashram? He's late now. He told me his story. He was a Mayavadi sannyasi. But then when he challenged Prabhupada, Prabhupada defeated him in all the arguments. And so he surrendered to Prabhupada. That was the tradition in those days. So, the point is that Mayavadis, they are very, very astute in philosophy. So if someone is not very advanced, they may as well be careful, because they could also make you a Mayavadi. They could also make you a Mayavadi. Because they have so much of convincing ideologies that if we are not very astute, we can begin to contemplate that what they are telling us is something to think about. But essentially, yes, we should preach to each and everyone, and if we are not tough enough. I remember my case, I had a weakness of, having to carry out instructions or obeying people in my family. And so when I get involved in Krishna consciousness, for 16 years, 16, I never had contact with family members. And then by the time I thought that, okay, now I can go and meet them, they can't do me anything. So I went with some devotees, and, they'd even forgotten about me. So my point is that if you can convince the Mayavadis, no problem. But be careful, and the association could be very deleterious, could be very dangerous. The association of the Mayavadis could be very dangerous. So we should be careful. Does it make some sense to you?
Hare Krishna Maharaj, Dandavat Pranam. Thanks for a wonderful class. So my one question is that, as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu used to say always, Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Yes.
So as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu always used to say that I am full, I don't know how to study Vedas, to even Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, he always used to say I am full and full, always. And as you said, in Krishna consciousness movement, we have to become a scholar, and in that way we can preach to the more people, even people can get attracted by becoming a scholar. So Maharaj, do you have any how do you feel about that, how when we are preaching in some village area or something like that, then how we can relate this scholar to the Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, how he used to say?
Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the Supreme Lord himself. He can do anything, okay? He can say he's a fool. if you go and tell people, you're preaching and they're going to tell people, hey, look, ladies and gentlemen, listen to me. I'm a great fool, you know. They won't listen to you, no? Okay. So we should know, we should not imitate Mahaprabhu. We should be preachers, we should be practical. We should accept what is, you know, about what is going to be enhancing to the mission of Srila Prabhupada. Not that, you know, I did some horrible things also in the past. Like I remember someone came to accuse me of, myself and one other devotee, when I was the temple manager, of, what do you call, aiding and abetting drugs. He said, you people are keeping guests in your guest room because they give you money for donations for your temple construction. In your guest room because they give you money for donations for your temple construction. So, that is a very serious. Then, instead of being angry with him, I told him, oh, Prabhu, is that all you know about me? Only drugs? I even kill people, you don't know? Instead of being angry with him, I told him, oh, Prabhu, is that all you know about me? Only drugs? I even kill people, you don't know? So he was completely, you know, taken aback. So yeah, but you don't go and tell people, you have to examine the situation. You don't go and tell people in the public that, you know, I'm a fool. They don't, what's the idea of your preaching? If you're a fool, I won't listen to you. Even when Lord Chaitanya told Prakasananda that he was a fool, that Lord Chaitanya was a fool, that Prakasananda did not accept that hook, line, and sinker. He knew this is Nimai, the guy who defeated so many pandits. How could he say he's a fool? So try to understand the in-depth of that story. All right. I'm so sorry. I'm called by nature.
Okay. Hare Krishna. Thank you, Maharaj, for a wonderful class. So we all thank to Prabhu Maharaj by chanting 3 times Hari Bol. Louder. Hari Bol. Hari Bol. Okay, thank you very much, all of you, for attending this class, all the classes since morning. So now today's Sravan Utsav second day we have finished. Tomorrow, 15th February, as usual, 10 o'clock, Bhajan Kirtan will be there. We'll be giving on the process of devotional service. And 12 to 1:30 devotional service. Prabhu of Junior Haridas. And 5:30 p.m. to 7, His Holiness Chandramauli Swami, the glories of Haridas Thakur and his passing. 7 to 8:30, His Grace Pancharatna Prabhu, the meeting of Lord Chaitanya and Raghunath Das Goswami. So we welcome all of you on time tomorrow morning 10 o'clock. Please be on time. I'll be very thankful to you, all of you.